Our history is filled with facts and myths that tell of lost, ancient civilizations that sprouted, dominating empires, only to suddenly vanish quicker than they rose. The Maya Empire is one of these instances, but steeped in mythology are hints of ancient, advanced civilizations, like the Atlanteans of the Sunken City or the Hyperboreans of the frozen northern wind. Civilizations that contained magical warriors and science that far surpassed that of our own. Thus somehow, these advanced peoples disappeared from history. While it's likely that many of these lost ancient tribes never existed, or that their tales are just exaggerated stories based on an extraordinary truth, in Black Clover, evidence of advanced ancient civilization seeps through the pages. Two pillars required for such a theory are 1. A reason for said ancient empire to fall and why it's not around anymore, and 2. Breadcrumbs that provide evidence for the future civilizations that society did exist. My case for Black Clover's lost society has both of these rooted in fact. The advent of the Tree of Qliphoth, a ritual that creates a magic channel and links the human realm and the devil realm together, allowing the devils and their forces to leak into the human world and wreak havoc and chaos. We know that the Qliphoth War happened many centuries ago in Black Clover, and that it was an apocalyptic event, uprooting the Black Clover world and wiping out 90% of the population. The perfect answer to how the advanced civilization went missing? What about the traces of evidence left behind? Well, dungeons. Dungeons containing magic and science that, if found in the current age of Black Clover, have the ability to change civilizations. If a single dungeon has the potential to produce tools of magic that can produce such dynamic results upon the world, what does that tell you about past societies that created them? That they were far more advanced in both magic and technology than in the current age, and especially the age of Licht and Lumiere's time, 500 years prior to Asta joining the Magic Knights. I have a lot more to discuss in this theory about what happened to these people of the past, and even who they are. Could this advanced ancient civilization actually originate from Hungry Joker, Yuki Tabata's first manga that he created several years prior to Black Clover? Is Hungry Joker a prequel to Black Clover? Stay tuned. Before we get into the theory, please join my Discord called Bronderheim. I'm in the server every single day. We talk about theories, power scaling, so if you want to talk about this theory or anything else, Black Clover, or even just fiction related or just chill, join my Discord called Bronderheim, link in the description. So getting into this theory of this ancient advanced civilization, I'll tell you what, when, where, why, and how before delving into who. So in the middle of the Heart Squad's battle with Vanica, Olapechka would recall the memories of the past Heart Queens and would summon the knowledge of the Tree of Qliphoth. In this recalling of information, we see armies of devils hunting down humans, seemingly putting them on crosses, eating them, killing them, etc. As well as the revelation that the last time the Qliphoth was opened, that 90% of the population was wiped out. Thus essentially revealing that the Black Clover world has seemingly endured an apocalyptic event and came out the other side thriving, even if it may have taken centuries to do so. We later get a lot more information revealed, like there being 10 Qliphoth devils spread across 7 gates, 3 devils at the bottom of the tree, Astaroth of time, Beelzebub of space, and the true king, Lucifero of gravity. With each subsequent gate being stronger than the previous, containing armies of low, middle, and high-ranked devils at their heel, we could see the incredible display of power of the Qliphoth, even though the majority of what we saw was only from the first and weakest gate. Even low rankers of the weakest gate gave troubles to full-fledged soldiers of the Spade Kingdom. As the members of the Spade Resistance are former soldiers themselves, they were getting demolished by the low-ranked devils until the Heart Squad showed up to save the day. We saw mid-rankers whose power were way stronger than the low-rankers, and we could also probably see some high-rankers who would then logically be way above the mid-rankers. And then of course there's Lilith and Nama, who dwarfed the power of the 80% Dark Triad, and they bodied the likes of a double Devil Union Noct and could fuse together and attain a power that would even spell troubles for Devil Union Asta. The thought that was stuck in my head through the majority of this saga is, how did humanity even survive the previous Tree of Qliphoth War? We know for a fact that humanity has been getting progressively stronger with their magic power, the complexity of their spells, as well as the functionality of their magic items. As Lumiere brings up humanity's advanced magical technologies as a way for humanity to form pacts with the elves. And then Lyra and the other elves admonish at how much humans' magic ability had advanced over the course of the 500 years. Remember that the Clover Royals stole the mana of the entire elf tribe for themselves, and with how population genetics works, it's very likely that most, if not all, of the Clover Kingdom are related to those royals that stole mana from the elves. As if you didn't know, scientists have already pointed out that pretty much anyone alive today that has European ancestry They have royal ancestors. So the humans of modern era and Black Clover, they have more mana, and this is also backed up by the fact that they used to be so weak that elves had to save them from disasters, and they worship the elves as gods. So humanity has gotten way stronger since then. They have more complex magic, as proven by them having better grimoires and spells, and they have more developed magic items. And yet, it was this hard for them, even after way beyond this, to battle the first Gate of Devils. Imagine how poorly the Clover Kingdom would have handled the Qliphoth in Lumiere's time. And it gets even worse if you go further back. If humans were far less advanced 500 years ago in Black Clover, how would even earlier humans manage to survive the first Qliphoth? Especially since it's likely that multiple gates opened, as when Lolopechka recalled the knowledge, she said that the world would end, which she'd only know if the knowledge was privy to the people of the past. Well, those of you still listening, the answer seems obvious. There was an ancient advanced civilization that used to be around. These esoteric peoples gave everything to stop the threat of the Qliphoth. They halted the ritual, and they saved the world. And what was left was a desolate wasteland filled with weaker peoples. Or strong people that turned weak due to a lack of nutrition, magical devil curses weakening them, or a sudden loss of nature's mana in the area that did such as well. Sure, could they have been dwarves, or elves, or some original humanoid race that spawned the branch of these three other races? That's possible that maybe they were the ones that kicked the bucket so that humanity, elves, and dwarves could survive the Qliphoth. But I still actually believe that this ancient advanced race is humans. For one, in the flashback, it certainly looked like humans were the ones being slayed, as well as the fact that humanity and elf kind had an ancient pact. The gate of the Shadow Palace rested beneath the Clover Castle. This pact makes no sense to have been made anywhere near Lumiere's time. It would have to have been long before it. Humanity and elf kind hated each other at that time, and it couldn't have been after because the elves were destroyed. And remember, the elves had basically no knowledge of any sort of good relationship with the humans, except for that they used to save them from natural disasters. Which makes you believe that the elves made this pact with the original human civilization, the one that crumbled by the Qliphoth War. Humans used to worship elves as gods, like I said. One thing that might have happened here is that the elves failed to answer the call of humanity's help when the first advent of Qliphoth happened. And that is why humanity would later turn against the elves later on, and hate them, and actually grow to fear them as well. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I believe dungeons could be further supporting evidence of an advanced past civilization, as Yami says that the dungeons are like ancient tombs that hold powerful relics by people way back. Again, if these items and dungeons are so powerful and valuable that current militaries fight over them as to not let the other get the upper hand, then a lot more evidence is provided that this ancient civilization was technologically advanced as well. So I've established the what, an ancient advanced civilization. I've established the where on this continent, at least at this place in the Clover Kingdom, as proven by the ancient pact with the elves. The how, the loss of the ancient civilization, is due to the Qliphoth, but what about the when? Black Clover's timeline has been a mystery itself, many wondering when the first Qliphoth happened. It would have to be before the time of Lumiere and Licht, as something that bad would have likely been at least semi-remembered by the Clover population. Even though the elves' story was distorted to feature them as demons, it still survived as a story. Yet the Qliphoth is not a story to the Clover peoples. And that was also different. That was essentially the humans covering up their terrible deed. A terrible thing happening to them will be more likely to keep the original story. And while many people have said that since the first queen had memories of the Qliphoth 1200 years ago, that would mean the first Qliphoth was between 1200 and 500 years ago in the Black Clover timeline. But I'm actually gonna not buy that. I believe that the first Qliphoth was 1637 years ago, as we get to see at least a glimpse of Black Clover's timeline upon Osier's gravestone. She lived from 1584 to 1619, and because Noelle was a baby when she died, and Noelle's over 17 years old, having been born in November, and we know it's March right now in Black Clover, then that means that the current year in Black Clover is 1637. Now, I believe that the timeline is based off how many years ago the first Qliphoth happened. That because the first Qliphoth was an apocalyptic event and was a great reset of humanity, this reset their conventional timeline, starting over. This is supported by the fact that we actually don't get true memories from the Heart Queen Lolopechka. It's very shadowy and a silhouette. It almost looks like imaginative, like the queen's knowledge that she's borrowing it from isn't actual a memory. It's just an imagination of what happened in the first Qliphoth, as if the first Heart Queen only knew about it through tales and myths passed down. This would be supported as the Heart Queen founded the Heart Kingdom 1200 years ago, which would be around 400 years after the first Qliphoth. We have the what, an ancient advanced civilization. The where, present day, Clover Kingdom resides. How, the advent of the Tree of Qliphoth. When, 1,637 years ago. But most curiously, who? Who was this advanced ancient civilization? The answer is us. More clearly, the us that Tabata created, the us that resides in his fictional world based on our universe. The answer resides in Yuki Tabata's previous manga titled Hungry Joker, which is a sci-fi fantasy series that takes place in our world roughly in the modern day. Now, before you get too crazy, there is actually a lot of evidence for this, evidence that goes beyond just the Easter eggs from Hungry Joker that exist in Black Clover. But those Easter eggs still are important to the theory. If you guys don't know, Hungry Joker was Black Clover creator Yuki Tabata's first manga. It only went on for 24 chapters before being cancelled by the magazine. Now, upon a glance, you might think that because of the difference between the series, as Hungry Joker is more of a science fantasy manga that takes place in modern day Earth, and Black Clover is a fantasy manga that seemingly takes place in another world, that they couldn't be connected. But the breadcrumbs left behind by Tabata may well prove that Black Clover is the phoenix that rose from the ashes of Hungry Joker's cancellation. Exciting announcement, guys. This channel, Broku, is now available for memberships. So if you want to help support the channel while also getting some really good benefits, please do so. The Vice Captain tier membership, which is $3 a month, grants you special emojis and badges, and you get priority for me responding to your comments. And you also will be getting access to members-only live streams and live stream chats in the future. The Captain tier, which is $7, gets the previous rewards, and you get to see all of my videos at least 24 hours early. And the $15 tier, the Wizard King tier, you get all the previous benefits, but I will also follow you on Twitter, and I will produce videos for the Wizard King tier exclusively, which means that these videos will not be viewable unless if you are a Wizard King tier. Now, of course, you'll get the regular scheduled programming, but these videos will be requests from the Wizard Kings or video projects I deem fit for them, like videos that would not suit the algorithm but would still be good for people who are fans of the channel. I know a lot of people want me to post more videos more often, but YouTube's just my hobby. And if you really want to help make this channel go full time and let me post a lot more videos and make those videos be even higher quality, if we can get to 500 members, I could pretty much do that. Being a member of this channel will help while also giving you a lot of cool benefits. In order for you to understand this theory, I'll need to give you a very brief summary of Hungry Joker. If you'd like to read the series, it's a Google search away and is only 24 chapters, so it makes a nice quick read. But Hungry Joker, spoilers beware. Hungry Joker follows Haiji, a genius scientist who works to uncover his memories that were lost 6 years ago. His only memory is a field of glowing dead bodies and a peculiar apple that he believed to be connected to this memory. Haiji would discover that the apple was special, as it was the Newtonian apple, the same apple that allowed Isaac Newton to discover and understand the laws of gravity by drinking the juice of the apple. It turns out that this apple was one of many items known as a eureka, a magical item that personifies a concept of science. Other items like the Mendelian peas, based off of real-world scientist known as Mendel, who used peas to discover genetics. If somebody is compatible with a eureka, they can use them and use its powers of that science. When Haiji takes a bite from the apple, he gets gravity-based powers, and users of the Mendelian peas can use it to enhance their own genetics. Hungry Joker involves a series of chases and heists for these eureka. The good guys are known as the White Jokers, a group of scientists and eureka users formed by the United Nations to counter the evil group known as the Mavros. The Mavros is a group of demon-like entities that wish to sunder mankind and views them like maggots. Mavros are vastly superior to humans, as their bodies were designed to use eureka, so they can use them to a much higher extent, as well as use them without drawbacks. As when humans use eureka, it takes a tremendous toll on their body. Haiji and his assistant run into many different eureka and Mavro over the course of the series, with the manga ending on a massive cliffhanger. Haiji and the other Hungry Jokers travel to the Mavros' home base and ready for the final battle, with one of the last panels being the establishing shot of the leaders of the Mavro, with their leader shrouded in darkness. But sadly, the final battle would be left to the reader's imagination, as the axe of Shonen Jump came slamming down. But what I believe happened is that Haiji led the Hungry Jokers against the Mavro, became God, and then defeated them by sealing them away. I know what you're saying, that's a lot to digest, but let me explain. Before I explain that, actually, I do want to show you two of the biggest pieces of evidence that Hungry Joker is at least in the same universe as Black Clover. That is that Gildre Poisat is literally in Hungry Joker. You can see him here, and in the Questions Brigade of Black Clover, number 2, volume 9, someone asked Tabata if that is Gildre, and Tabata says, "You're right, that is Gildre. I liked his hard hamishness, so I had him put in an appearance, although he got caught right after he finally managed to show up. This is not Tabata laughing the statement off and just saying that he reused the design. The writer asked if that was Gildre, and the creator of both series admitted to that being the case. Another thing is that the Newtonian apple is also featured in Black Clover. It is a picture on the wall of the Black Bull's base, which would imply that this also takes place in the Black Clover world, especially when you take into the consideration the context of the apple's symbol and power, as it shares the same symbol as Dante's Devil Mark. And remember that Dante and the Newtonian apple both have gravity-based powers and both have the same symbol. Many people were actually able to successfully predict that Dante would have gravity magic based on this fact alone, that he shared the Newtonian apple's symbol. But as I said, it isn't just these Easter eggs, but how the series ends. See, Haiji wasn't just a regular human, he was a half-human, half-Mavro hybrid, which made him the strongest of the Hungry Jokers. He then took the Joker pills, made from his assistants Chitosi's blood Eureka, and borrowed the Eureka's powers of his friends. The Newtonian apple ate the Joker pills and evolved into the perfect Eureka known as Eden's Fruit of Knowledge. When he ate the apple, he became so powerful that the Mavro he was fighting compared his power to the Almighty God, and he easily defeated this Mavro known as Killed. Keep in mind that both the Newtonian apple and its evolved forms are referred to as the Fruit of Genesis, which is the fruit of knowledge that Adam and Eve ate from the Tree of Life and Knowledge in Eden and led to the fall of man. This confirms the Tree of Life exists in Hungry Joker, drawing another connection to Black Clover, as the Apostles of Sephira are mapped to the Tree of Life and are shadowed by the Tree of Death, called the Tree of Qliphoth. This branch connection spells even more evidence of the connection between Black Clover and Hungry Joker. In fact, when Haiji attains his god form, it looks quite similar to Yuno's Spirit Dive, which could draw another connection, since spirits in Black Clover are considered to have divine and holy power. Haiji was this strong, and then the unseen battle with the Mavro was 1 year later, thus likely making Haiji much stronger with his Eureka powers, and for the White Jokers to have advanced enough, as well as them for him to have defeated the Mavro in battle. Haiji, 1 year prior, was so powerful that he could use scientific language to rewrite reality. So what I believe he did was seal away the Mavro into an alternate universe, the Underworld, and in the Underworld, the Mavro were allowed to roam free, ascend their power, and raise forces, slowly evolving into devils. Keep in mind that Killed had the Mendelian P's Eureka, granting him the power of genetics, and his symbol is identical to Megicula's symbol. Her magic allows her to also alter genetics in humans, using her magic to turn humans into devils on a whim. But also, Haiji's Mavro brother, Nixk, has some sort of a space Eureka, and his spatial magic looks exactly like Beelzebub's spatial magic, which makes me believe that Nixk, sealed away by his brother in the Underworld, evolved into the devil Beelzebub. We have to remember that the literal translation of Mavro equals Black God's army. They are considered evil black gods and love to kill, torture, and experiment with humanity. Devils are humanoid, at least the mid-rankers and above, so it does seem that devils are just evolved and enhanced Mavro of the past. Even some Mavro, like Rosalie, had devil horns. Mavro had tails as well. There are 2 different Eurekas that we know of that have to do with like evolution. You have Darwin's Eureka and the Mendel Eureka, which is about evolution and genetics, so this is how Mavro could have become devils over time. The next question would be, how did the Hungry Joker world evolve from science to magic? Well, it sort of already was magic. Eureka users were increasing both in numbers and proficiency, and with the expansion of science within Eureka, it gave the White Jokers the ability to make the Joker pills that enhance the blood cells of humanity, giving them infinite possibilities, and allowing them to use Eureka they were otherwise not compatible with. So what I believe happened is that with Haiji ascending to godhood and the advancement of Eureka science, magic and science became one and the same, and soon humanity would all bask in the glory of Eureka power, essentially using a scientific magic energy system that allowed them to manipulate elements. There's also the fact that magic already exists in Hungry Joker, as the Witch and Hungry Joker said that their entire family had extraordinary powers in every single generation, and that the Eureka they had was only part of the reason for their power, which would imply a magical force as well. We also know that there is an energy system to the Eureka. They have devices that are said to actually read them. So what if this Eureka power is actually mana before they even knew that it was mana? So essentially the scientific magic energy system evolves more into magic and allows them to manipulate elements. We know that there are literally countless Eureka in Hungry Joker. That means that you could literally have it, so the origin of every single magical attribute in Black Clover is that there was a Eureka for it. They just hadn't been found yet in the Hungry Joker series. So think of it like this. If you have a bunch of people with different Eurekas, the more they consume the Eureka, the more they can use its power, the longer they can use its power. By that logic, if they consume it over and over again over their lifetime, that power would just be stuck to them. And if they had a kid, that power might inherit that power, Or even it could be that Haiji, as I said, could have become the god, made it more of a magical system, because he is the literal god that is being mentioned. Also, we know that the actual god, like the Garden of Eden, really exists in Hungry Joker, which means that magic also exists because there's magic in that religion and in that mythology. Imagine how fast technology would advance in our world if we were granted a magic system and a god like Haiji. We'd progress so fast that even in just a decade, our technology would be unrecognizable. With humanity possibly branching off into different races, or even created other races with the Mendelian peas or the Darwinian seed Eurekas. You could have it so that the elves focus on the power of the Eureka, and that evolved to mana, and the dwarves focus on the technology. You could have it so that Haiji created the elves and the dwarves, because he has almighty power, but because the Mavro, now devils, could still spread their shadows in the physical world, it would allow them for a grand magical experiment that would summon them back. The combination of a dark magic, or Eureka, and a world tree magic in Eureka opens the Tree of Qliphoth. Note that an apocalyptic event was stated to be on the horizon by the narrator of Hungry Joker. I'll read you the passage. For our era, with the destruction caused by Sodom and Gomorrah, before the widespread contagion of the pest in Europa, during the 14th century, before the submarine eruption of the Vanuatu in the year 1452, human lives were overwhelmed as the numerous experiments of the Mavro left deep wounds in the face of history. However, as of now, exceeding all of those previous disasters, another catastrophe would soon be induced. Though nothing happens of this sort in Hungry Joker, there is no apocalyptic event. What I believe this means is that the apocalyptic event that is foreshadowed by the narrator is actually the first event of the Tree of Qliphoth. This makes sense since because consuming the fruit of Eden in biblical terms led to the fall of man, so while Haiji possibly guided humanity forward, him using the apple of Eden to do so led to humanity's eventual downfall. But with the Mavro returned as devils, they barely survived the war, and in the wake of that destruction and chaos, that blossomed the world of Black Clover, a world of mixed technology. You have cigarette filters, cars, baseball bats, lever-action rifles, television screens, etc. These weird levels of technologies exist because they survived the apocalypse. They survived the first Qliphoth War, possibly in dungeons. It makes sense that such an advanced society was able to survive the Qliphoth. If Yami is able to make his katana stronger with magic, imagine a lightsaber with magic, or a plasma rifle with magic, or an exoskeleton suit with magic, or fucking spaceships with magic. It's also very possible that the plan of Lucius Sagratis has been in play for much longer than you thought, as he may actually be in Hungry Joker. Very early in the series, it is revealed that Haiji's assistant Chitosi's father was also a scientist who mysteriously disappeared 6 years ago, this matching the timeline of when Haiji lost his memories. This is too convenient for this man not to have been a big bad, as well as the leader of the Mavro, especially when this man happens to look just like Lucius. And with the latest reveal of the connection between Lucius and Julius and Black Clover, the leaders of the big bad essentially playing both sides, there's just so happens to also be a Julius doppelganger that works for the White Jokers. Since the Mavro are essentially a different species that are especially fit to use Eureka, it may have been that Chitosi's father, Lucius, may have been a long-time Eureka user that has allowed him to live for a long time, and was a possible creator of the Mavro, and made it look like he died to his family, but he really left to keep leading them. And this might tie into Black Clover, because a lot of people have the theory that Lucius might have DNA magic, and scientists have a very important role in the Hungry Joker lore and power system. As it is these scientists like Newton or Darwin that have Eurekas named after them. Well, what if Lucius is actually Friedrich Miser, the scientist who discovered DNA, as it shows the DNA for Mavro when their origins are discussed? Maybe I'm tripping, but the two do look alike. If you de-aged Miser about 2 decades, gave him his hairline back and shaved his beard, he'd look like a live-action adaptation of Lucius Sagratis. So maybe Tabata has been planning the rise of Lucius Sagratis ever since Hungry Joker, or he's just reusing this idea for Black Clover. Whatever it is, I believe that there is a strong possibility that Hungry Joker is a prequel to Black Clover. Which is funny that this video started as a little theory about some mysterious ancient civilization in Black Clover, and led to me trying to connect 2 stories into the same universe. And I feel like the theory tackles most of the counterpoints and the possibility. Elves and Dwarves existing is explained by the Eureka's Darwinian seed and Mendelian peas. The power of science transferring to magic is explained via Haiji ascending to godhood, and the advanced knowledge of Eureka, the Joker pills leading to a magically powerful populace, magic already existing in Hungry Joker in terms of religion, and also the witch. Keep in mind that Noct and other characters bring up a literal god in Black Clover. That'd be really funny if that god was Haiji. So I do find the idea of these 2 series coexisting in the same universe more than just a novelty. But one of the counterpoints, people do bring up that it does look a bit like Australia. But that would mean that the two worlds cannot coexist, though I'd argue that the Tree of Qliphoth and or a magical destruction could have warped the landscape of the world and shaped it into how it exists in Black Clover now. Or this could be a different planet that exists in the Black Clover Hungry Joker connected universe, and advanced humans from Earth arrived there, colonized the planet, and on this planet is where the Qliphoth War happened. Now, something that can boost this theory is that Yami is from the Land of the Sun, which is essentially Japan. He looks Japanese, uses ki, which is a Japanese term. He uses a katana. There are things like sake and other things that hail from Japan. So maybe he is from the real world Japan of Hungry Joker and Black Clover. I think the biggest hurdle of this video and the convincing of the theory will be science going to magic, but the opening chapter of Hungry Joker confirms that science really is just magic, as it says that science is just the knowledge of God, and God is literally a magical supernatural being, so yeah, science is already essentially magic in Hungry Joker. We also need to know that essentially Eureka is a mutation, and Asta not having magic is also considered a mutation. That can add evidence as what magic in Mana is and what Eureka is, that they're both just mutations that grant to a similar and eventually the same magic power system. Like this character, she looks like she has Valkyrie armor and steel magic and Jack slashes. It could be that through genetics over time, these magic types would be produced from this Eureka. And remember the Asta, he could not see Mana because he doesn't have it. This could be evidence to how this system works in Hungry Joker, that this reader will read it. You cannot sense Mana or feel it or anything unless if you have Mana yourself. Hungry Joker and Black Clover aptly describe the main character or theme of the story. Haiji is a Hungry Joker, a modification of the series' main good guys, the White Jokers. Asta is a Black Clover, a modification of the series' main good guys, the Clover Kingdom. Hungry Joker and Black Clover are different cards, but they are part of the same deck. So that's my theory. Over 1600 years ago, Haiji led the Hungry Jokers in battle against the Mavro. He ascended, won, and sealed them away into the underworld. The Mavro evolved into devils while humanity evolved into their magic and technology. Then, as prophecies by the narrator, the first advent of Qliphoth, the greatest of the apocalyptic events, opened, and the ascended Mavro returned as devils, causing a great apocalypse that wiped out 90% of humanity and nearly destroyed the world. The surviving humans were left much weaker because of these events, and this advanced technology became scattered across the globe. 400 years after the first Qliphoth War, a powerful water mage would traverse into the Heart Kingdom and foster that nation into the Heart Kingdom eventually. Clover, Heart, Diamond, and Spade surround the grand magic region that splits the continent. What if this magically powered region was the Lost Joker Kingdom, and the reason why it's a grand magic region is because that is where the first Qliphoth was summoned and begun its ruin of the continent? Let me know your thoughts of this theory down below, and if you've stuck around this long, please support the channel by liking and subscribing. And I just want to add here that I am 99% sure that Black Clover did have a past ancient civilization, but I'm only about 60% sure that Hungry Joker is the prequel to Black Clover. I thought this would be a very fun theory, and I wanted to make a video talking about Hungry Joker because it's such a great little short manga that I wish would have continued. But then again, it's kind of good it didn't because Black Clover is my favorite series of all time. But hopefully Tabata will do some sort of a Hungry Joker spin-off or something in the future if it really does end up being an actual prequel to Black Clover. I will also suggest for you guys to watch Jack Oates' video on Hungry Joker. He kind of has the opposite mind where he thinks that Hungry Joker is a sequel to Black Clover. So go check out his video if you want more Hungry Joker to Black Clover related content. So don't forget to join my Discord, follow me on Twitter, subscribe, turn notifications. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Peace out.